Welcome to FranchiseWire Live, your source for all things franchising. Remember to subscribe to FranchiseWire Live on YouTube. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And for the latest in news, events, and happenings in franchising, bookmark FranchiseWire.com. Now here's the host of FranchiseWire Live, IFPG President Red Boswell.
Welcome to another episode of FranchiseWire Live. Look, I got the right hand. I'm not doing this. Getting better. With your host, Red Boswell, president of the International Franchise Professionals Group, IFPG. And we are excited about another episode, but you know what? We got a sponsor, Pollinate Franchise Loyalty. Everybody wants to build loyalty, and they've got the app to help you do that. POLN8. I think Pollinate's logo might pop up there or down here. We'll see what the IT guys work out for us this week. And now, while you're here, our buddy Matt Gerding. Matt is not only a rock star franchise consultant with IFPG, but he is Global Director of Corporate Connections. Matt, thanks for joining FranchiseWire Live today.
Thanks, Red. Happy to be here and always good to see you.
You too, brother. Thank you. Excited to learn more about what's happening in franchising. You and I were just talking about master licenses and going global. Before we jump into those cool topics, where are you at today?
I'm in beautiful Cincinnati, Ohio, and cold.
Now, does beautiful and Cincinnati go together?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, today it is. It's gorgeous.
I believe it. Same here with Dallas. Well, thanks for joining us, Matt. And you're safe, family's healthy, all good there?
All good. All good. How about you? Everybody doing good?
Buddy, yeah, it couldn't be better. Wonderful holiday. You know, Halloween was, I got 3 teenagers, and they just go crazy for Halloween.
Yeah.
Y'all go trick-or-treating?
Yep. My 8-year-old daughter was out and about, and I had a little bonfire out front and had the candy in individual bags for our trick-or-treaters to remain safe, and everybody had a good time.
Now, did you stay 6 feet and throw it, or do you have one of those tubes where it goes down?
I set them out strategically on the front of the driveway, and then we were a good 15 feet back with a little fire going. So
with like a little paintball gun if somebody grabbed more than one.
That's right. That's right. And we did have a couple try and cross that line. And we made sure, hey, listen, the candy's right there, buddy.
Yeah. And it's one bag per
right.
punk. Yeah.
Exactly right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk franchising, brother.
Yeah.
Help us understand, get perspective. Corporate Connections, that's a whole new gig for you. What's happening there and who are they?
Yeah. It's really exciting. As you know, doing a lot of IFPG consulting since April, absolutely loved it. And this kind of opportunity came out of the blue. It's a sister company to BNI, Business Networking International, which has been growing and thriving for 35 years. This was a different idea that actually started in 2004 in Canada, just to kind of see how it would be. You know, BNI you think of as that kind of that local chapter where you've got that local plumber and electrician and the local financial advisor that are all getting together for that business. Corporate Connections kind of takes it to the next level. Their membership is the founders of companies, executives within companies. And those companies typically have at least $5 million in annual revenue and at least 50 employees. So it's more of it's local business, but it's also on a global networking scale. And the amount of opportunity that's with the company was something that really drove me to say, this is an opportunity I shouldn't really pass up. So we're currently in 10 countries. In the US, we only have 1 location though in New Orleans. It's really started internationally, started in Canada, went to India, in 8 other countries. And we've just got so much growth potential out there. It's unbelievable. So we're really excited.
All right, so you said you've got 1 in the U.S. Is that one master, area developer, or franchisee?
Just a franchisee, direct franchise in New Orleans. So in the U.S., we're not planning on doing any masters or area developers. It'll all be direct in some of the bigger cities. We are working on getting the registration filings done. We will be registered and filed in all 50 states, so that'll be good as soon as that's ready to roll. But internationally, we are looking at both direct in some of the bigger cities, but also masters as well.
So help the franchise, professionals on the call. How are you? So Corporate Connections, founded through or by BNI. BNI's global organization. I'm fairly familiar. I was a CEO of North America for Action Coach, and global chief development like yourself for Action Coach prior to then. And we actually had master licensees in multiple countries that were also a master licensee for BNI.
Mhm.
And so there was a nice synergy there. What about y'all? Is that something where some of your masters for BNI could also be with corporate connections, or are they hooking you up in any way?
Absolutely. Yeah, they can be. The only requirement that we have is that they have to have somebody that would run both separately. So if they want to own both and they want to stay on the BNI side, they would have to hire somebody then to run corporate connections. Or
Nice.
if they want to jump to the corporate connection side, they would have to hire somebody to run BNI.
Very nice.
Just
Okay.
enough differences there that it really can't be run the same.
Yeah. Yeah. You need focus, somebody
Yeah,
that really owns it.
without a
Nice.
doubt.
And so are you responsible, maybe you have a team under you, are you responsible for US individual franchise sales and global?
Yes. Yep. That's all me. I'm a
Nice.
team of one, Red.
Right on.
Yeah.
Hey, I can relate. All right. So help us understand investment sizes for the different options.
It's all based on internationally based on population. We've seen that basically for every 375,000 people, there could be one chapter. And each chapter has between 12 and 15 people, much lower numbers than a BNI, which could have 50, 75, 100. Within the US, we've broken it down to those 50 employee plus companies. So the minimum investment is $80,000 for a direct region, and that's based on 2,667 possible member companies within that region. Then above that, if somebody would buy multiple regions or a larger area, say all of Los Angeles greater or all of Atlanta, et cetera, then it's based on $30 per 50 plus employee company.
Nice. You got the science.
Yeah, I love it.
And globally, you're in 11 countries with masters. How many franchisees, or maybe it's so new, I'm not sure how long you've been going globally.
Yeah, so we've got some in actually 10 countries, and India, for example, is broken up into 9 regions. So there's 9 different master franchise owners there. The rest of the countries are master. Canada has probably the biggest. It's one master franchise owner for all of Canada, but they have the most amount of chapters. I believe they're upwards of 15 different chapters across the country. So it's a nice kind of mix and a lot of growth opportunity. It's
Obviously.
amazing.
Well, with the travel being diminished significantly,
Yeah.
and Lord only knows how if it'll ever rebound completely, and the opening, I guess acceptance of the Zooms we live on all day now, time is right.
Oh yeah. Everybody I talk to now, obviously, like you said, it's all about Zoom networking. But everybody I've talked to has said networking now is more important than ever, especially when you're talking about some of the bigger companies as they're trying to look at, say, okay, well, how am I going to expand? What do I need to do? Well, this global network of professionals does just that. One of the big benefits we have is we also have forums, which are essentially, brain trusts and business coaches. And they get together informally within these chapters. It's very confidential. They talk about anything that they need to, both personally sometimes and also business-wise on how to grow. So that is in addition to the regular chapter meetings where everything is talked about as far as the growth outside that. So it's pretty impressive.
Well, Matt, so how long have you been with Corporate Connections now?
Since September. So I'm a grizzled vet.
All right, so you jumped in the pandemic, man. So
yeah,
did they have much going before you took over?
No, not really. So we've done a lot of foundational work the past month, making sure that we were getting the registrations and filings, making sure that the franchise compliance is all good. We've got all of our folks at Corporate Connections going through FranGuard and encouraging everybody to get that CFE as they move forward. So we've done a lot of foundational work. The good news is that the areas that had been started and had been growing, such as Canada and India, continue to grow. We also got Brazil and Germany this year and Japan last year. So those are still growing. So it's been some foundational work, but we're all full speed ahead.
And would a country as big as Germany be one master?
Yes, Germany is one master.
What would a country that size cost to be a master?
So Germany would probably be around, we have 5 tiers. And this was, I'll say this, we have our tier pricing now. I'm not sure what the pricing was when these went, but this is what it would cost now. Our tier that would be a tier 1 country, and it would be $800,000 for a master.
Understood. Yeah. And then they split revenue. For those who aren't real familiar, typically a master will own that country, be the czar for that country. Still has to report back to the ultimate czar, but owns it. They recruit. They typically train, although the corporate office might support that training significantly, and they provide ongoing support. And they share typically will share the revenue that comes in from a franchise awarded and share the revenue from ongoing royalties. Now, the splits can vary very significantly. And in fact, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but oftentimes on the master level, now a normal franchise level in the US and Canada, there ain't no negotiating. The
Right.
fees are the fees in every capacity. And that stays the same. But on the master level, especially internationally, there can be some significant back and forth. Okay, this is my hot button. I want to keep 90% of the franchise fee, but I'll give you a little more of the royalty, or vice versa.
Right.
Or
Exactly.
even, hey, that 800,000, can we reduce that? But I'll give you more on the back end. And if I don't meet development schedules, there's penalties.
Right. That's exactly right. Exactly right.
Love that, man. It's so fun. I love the international, the master. There's so much flexibility. You're working deals, you're working magic. It's just a fun world you live in right now.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And it's funny because my time schedule is all jacked up. I was on a call at 4:30 in the morning last week, but it's very exciting just to learn the different cultures and customs and how business is done this way, and what you really need, like we were talking about earlier about London and some of the UK. That is just fascinating to me, and every day is an exciting day for sure.
Yeah, your clock will be jacked up from forever now. It doesn't get easier. All right, so you're going to go to any? Well, they may not be having any, but you got any plans to hit any of the expos across the globe?
Yeah, if they have them, we will be there. We will be there. So yeah.
All right, so there's plenty, right?
Yeah.
The number one in the world. Most anybody asks, goes, oh, IFE New York City. No, that's the number one in North America.
Right.
You know where I'm going? You know what I'm talking about?
I may, but feel free to.
All right. So what would be the number one biggest in the Western Hemisphere? North, South America, Central America?
I don't know.
Mexico City.
Is it really?
It's bigger than IFE.
Really?
Yeah. You need to speak Spanish, but it's huge. Now, what's the biggest, and frankly, if I maybe just be blunt, the coolest by far in the world? You know?
Is it in India?
Nope. I mean, heck, there could be one bigger in India that I don't know about, but Paris. Guys, if you're doing international and you like expos, you understand the world of expos, maybe you just want to research and you got some time to get out there, the Paris Franchise Expo is jaw-droppingly cool. Is jaw-droppingly a word? It is now.
Yes, it is now.
If you've been to all the US expos, right, we know how we do it over here. And we're quite proud of our USA's best, or Canada, North America. They put us to shame.
Wow.
You walk in there, and those booths are freaking booths. I'm telling you, every one of them has a roof, a ceiling. They are a home. I mean, you're walking into like the Gap. They build a Gap, it is so impressive. When I go to the expos here, I just pray nobody from Europe comes, because they are embarrassing compared to the class and quality. I've been to Milan Expo, Germany, Italy, Paris, Poland, all the European expos. The quality of their booths just blow the US and Canada out of the water.
Wow. Well, I'm putting that on the list.
Just be careful. If you do a booth over there, don't do it to U.S. standards. They will know.
That's good advice.
Or Canadian standards. They will know you're a gringo or whatever they call us. That's a Mexican.
Good to know. Yeah, you mixed a lot of them together there, but that's all right.
Yeah, for sure. Well, okay, franchise development. So many folks are interested in where is it going into the future? What does it look like? We have the lending component. We have the demand component. We have the governmental influence and components. Any thoughts on what it looks like for the future?
I'm very excited about it. And the reason being is that we've heard for so many years that a brand is recession resistant, recession proof. Well, now we've been able to prove that. Unfortunately, some brands had struggled and didn't make it through. But what I tell folks is, look at those brands that were able to change very quickly and adapt. And now they have an additional revenue stream. The one that I always talk about is fitness. Nobody was allowed in fitness places. Well, what did they do? They made online subscriptions. So now when people can go back to the gym, they still can offer this online as an additional revenue stream. My wife was a big rowing person and loved Row House. And now we have our own rower, and she has a monthly subscription to Row House online. So I think to look at the companies that have made that adaptation, there's a lot out there, and I think it's exciting.
Couldn't agree more. There's so people, as a general rule, shy away from restaurants. Watch out for fitness. Man, there are killer opportunities within both those sectors.
Without a doubt.
If you look. Now, the number one question moving forward seems to be, for the candidate, seems to be, how were you impacted by the COVID crisis? What did you do? To every franchisee they validate with, they're going to ask, how'd the Zor treat you? Did they amp it up and help in a gazillion ways, or did they go on a vacation to the beach?
You're right. Yeah, I agree.
Do you have any predictions, Matt, for on a global level? You're looking at the Europe and South America. Any big changes coming about compared to North America? I mean, any insights you can give Zors out there that are looking at global strategies?
I think, especially as you look at the COVID pandemic and countries starting to shut down, I think that from a U.S. standpoint, we're probably 6 to 8 weeks behind Europe if you look at historical numbers. So as you see some of those shutdowns, well, that also means then that they're going to come out of it a little quicker than what we do if there is, in fact, a second wave here in the U.S. So those have already been entered, and they're going to start coming out of it. So it's going to open up more opportunities, even if we're, God forbid, if we're in another lockdown for some reason, some of those extra countries are going to come out of that sooner. So we can be working on some of those global strategies.
Yeah, absolutely right. Dare you predict a lockdown for the U.S. and Canada?
Well, I know some places in Canada are doing it now. They've gotten some, Montreal had a hot spot, so they've done that. So, I think that we are hinging on whatever the election holds. I'm not saying one party or the other, but I think we're hinging on that to see what happens next. So,
well,
we'll see.
We'll see in the next 24, 48 hours, hopefully.
Yeah.
With that big one, and certainly a good vaccine can change the world.
Yeah. Well, on a good news though, one of my best friends, I've known him for almost 30 years. His wife is an epidemiologist, so I always get the in and outs of viruses and what her thoughts are. Here's some good news. She feels that the common flu season will be almost non-existent because everybody's taking precautions to stop COVID. So people are washing their hands more, covering their mouth, which are all things that lead to the regular flu being spread. So she thinks that that'll be almost non-existent. So if there's some positive out there, if that comes to fruition, then we can at least hang our hat on that.
Amen. Hey,
yeah,
we can use any positive we can get.
Absolutely.
Wow. So Matt, I'll just open it wide. Franchisors are listening. Any thoughts, advice, guidance, input, predictions, anything else you'd like to share with the franchise community?
I think that when doing the IFPG consulting, the franchisors are second to none. I mean, they're fantastic. The brands are wonderful about getting back to people and working collaboratively. I think that's the key. Is as consultants and franchisors continue to work together, open communications, make sure, and I think I said that in the retreat, there is no handoff. It's all the way from introduction to placement, working together hand in hand. I think there can be a lot of good success stories out there. And I think IFPG is well on the way to doing that.
Man, I miss that. I love that. So that's an interesting thought. There is no handoff.
Yeah.
So when a consultant gets a lead and educates them and builds the trust and helps them hone it down and identify great matches and piques their interest and answers a few questions, then typically we call that sort of a handoff, but it's more of a, what would you call it instead of a handoff?
I just say the next step in the process is continuation.
Continuation. We're still going to keep our relationship. We always know that. The way I've said it is the consultant takes a back seat. You're in that driver's seat. Now you're a back seat. The ZOR is leading the process, but the ZOR doesn't skip a single step. They have the same steps, regardless of lead source, and consultants are a lead source. So now that consultant is in the back seat, not fully handing off, as you said.
Yeah.
Great. Love that.
And I like that analogy too. I think the worst thing you can do is not get in the car. You just put them in the front seat and they drive away. You absolutely need to be in the car somewhere still. So I love that analogy.
You know, to make sure I'm never a hypocrite, occasionally, once or twice a year, I'll work with a candidate myself, a friend, a neighbor that wants to look into franchising. And it's fascinating. It's a fascinating world. It helps me so much to lead IFPG and to guide consultants and even to train consultants when I'm able to do it myself and get some insights from the other side.
Yeah.
It's the some buyers, first call, they want to be introduced. Others, man, let's go through 8 calls, 8 meetings, we're going to talk and research. And it's that high C versus the high D in the DISC assessment. You have to be flexible and adaptable and relatable.
Absolutely. And to me, I think that's the fun part about being a consultant. You know, it's that no candidate is the same, no day is the same. And that's what makes it fun.
Oh yeah. You want to be a good FranDev rep, whether you're a consultant, a referral consultant, as we are often called, or a franchise development rep, which you are both. You better be a good communicator.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yep. 2/3 of communication is listening.
Yeah.
You know, so
right.
Amen to that. Well, Matt Gerding, you've been a blessing as always. Can't wait to see you in person. Give you a big hug. Thanks for being an awesome consultant, and congrats on leading corporate connections across the globe.
Thank you.
Been joining IFPG's president with FranchiseWire Live. Hope to see you on the next episode, guys. Thanks again, Matt.
Thanks, Red.